Do you want to make your own podcast? Spotify has a platform that lets you make one super easily, then distribute it everywhere and even earn money all in one place for free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters. And this is the platform that I use because it makes it so simple to record and distribute your podcast all in one place using your cell phone. What you need to do is download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started. Hello, my name is Catherine Moore, social worker, mom, coffee lover, and founder of Social Workers Rise, where we inspire social workers to connect, expand their knowledge, and change more lives than they ever thought possible. I'm so excited you found my podcast. We will talk everything social work on every level from micro to macro. We will hear the stories of social workers who are doing big things, learn new skills, and most importantly, give you actionable steps to make a difference today. Let's go. Before we get started in this episode, I wanted to share a resource with you that I wish I knew about a long time ago. One that makes it easy to start a side business to generate more income so you stress less about your money, you're able to pay your student loans without worry, and you're able to afford those online shopping sprees. I see you, no judgment here, I am with you. And what's so great is that as social workers, we have so many powerful skill sets that other people want and need to learn from us. This is such an impactful way to continue making massive change in the world without spending a lot of extra time on this. So I personally use Kajabi to create my online course, and I absolutely love it. And right now, they're giving away free trials. So click the link in the show notes to get started on your side biz now. And with that, let's get into this episode. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Social Workers Rise. Before we get into our interview for this week, I just wanted to touch base with you and just kind of let you know what I've been doing. This year has been, oh my gosh, it's been full of ups and downs, good and bad, and it's been a struggle on, career-wise and for personal-wise, and just a lot of stuff going on. But I try to, keep my strengths-based perspective in mind and just remind myself that growth doesn't happen in your comfort zone. And every time that there is a hardship or a challenge that we need to overcome, then there's going to be lessons learned. There's going to be definitely growth happening, and it's all for good. Everything is happening for good. We may not be able to know or understand it or see it right now, but I believe that there is just always something to be learned through the hardships that we are going through. And I'm just so grateful to have you here with me every single week. I mean, we have been doing this since January was the first episode. I guess it was my rough draft episode, but it's been such a wild and crazy ride this year, and it hasn't even been a year. And that's super exciting for me because we have come so far in less than a year, and I'm just so excited to see what 2021 brings. I mean, at this point, we can really only go up from here, right? We can only get better with our years and just continue to roll with it. Whatever life brings us, we're going to roll with it, and we're going to learn, and we're going to grow, and we're going to be better. And that takes a lot of just doing new things and expanding our comfort zone and thinking about things in a different way. So I'm just really excited for what the future holds. And I hope you are too. I hope you are just staying with me, keeping up with the good fight and doing the best that you can every single day, because you really are amazing. If you're listening to my voice right now, I know that you are freaking amazing. You have chosen a field that is specifically designed to give back to people. I mean, that's why we started. There's a lot of things that need to be fixed. There's a lot of things that aren't perfect. There's a lot of work to do for our industry and social work, but we are doing it. We are starting the good fight. We are changing those conversations. There are massive shifts that are happening in 2020, and I'm so excited that you are here with me. So, for this episode, we are going to be talking with one of those change makers, one of those narrative changers, and one of those leaders in the social work space, and the leaders on social media. She's been using social media for the past couple years, for the past 3 years, and she's just been making such an impact and helping so many people. So it's an honor to speak with Lauren Gutierrez this week. And she is a clinical school social worker based out of Texas. She is also a clinical supervisor, and you most likely know her as the Social Work Scrapbook on Instagram. She has thousands and thousands of followers on Instagram and on YouTube, which is her primary platform. So I am so excited that we were able to sit down and have a conversation with her and just ask her some questions that maybe you haven't asked her before or didn't think to ask her, or just learned something new. Definitely check her out on her YouTube. She has so many helpful videos, especially if you are just starting out in the field of social work, or if you're just wanting to learn more about what school social workers do and what it's about. Definitely check out her YouTube channel. So with that said, let's hop into it. Hi, Lauren. How are you?
Hi there. I am doing so great. It's a Friday, so I have that Friday feeling going.
Yes, me too. I'm glad it's almost the weekend, and I'm really excited to have you on Social Workers Rise.
I'm excited to be here. Thanks for thinking of me.
Of course. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on. I have been such a fangirl since I started my journey.
Aww.
I feel like you're kind of like an OG as far as social workers online and providing just education and guidance and essentially like a virtual mentor to a lot of people. So thank you for that.
That's good to hear. I started in 2017, so it still feels new to me, but I guess it has been quite a while.
Yeah, I mean, as far as years online, 3 years of consistent content, that's a lot.
Thank you. Yes, when you put it that way. Yeah.
So I'm wondering, first, I want to backtrack to the very beginning of Lauren, when you were, before you had even decided to go into social work. What made you even want to become a social worker?
Oh, yes. This is a great question. And I get this often, especially from my YouTube channel. People wonder what my why is. And just from a very young age, I was one of few students that was chosen to be a mentor to other students. I went to a public school district that wasn't the best off. It was lacking in a lot of resources and funding. And at a very young age, I was actually pegged to go into a voucher system and be taken out of public school and put into private schools and things like that. But I remained in public school. My mom really wanted for me to kind of learn the ins and outs and the struggles that people in my community were having. And so from a young age, I was paired with um, students that had behavioral issues and students that had academic needs, more as a peer mentor. So I say I've always been a little school social worker in training, and I just gravitated towards that role. And as I got older, I started seeing the discrepancies between myself as a student in this public school system and other students from other more affluent areas, and how a lot of my friends that were very capable, very knowledgeable, were slipping through the cracks simply because we didn't have equal access, really. And so from that point, I knew I wanted to head back into public schools and serve and close those gaps and help students see, and families as well, see the potential, see that it's possible to reach beyond where you're growing up or what you're living through or what you're being faced with. And so social work is something that took me a while to get to. I thought I was going to be a few different things in order to go that route, but I did get to that probably after my first year of college. Then I decided to go a social work route.
Wow, that is so interesting because I noticed that too, as far as looking at my youth and my childhood in high school. Well, I didn't know it then, but coming out here to now I'm in Orange County, California, where it's much more affluent. And my husband was raised out here and he'll talk about his high school and say, "Oh yeah, we did this and we had that program." And he's like, "Did you ever do that?" I was like, "No, we didn't have
Oh,
we didn't have
yes.
those special courses or the special electives or
Hmm. And to
we
me,
had
yeah, it's very similar. So me and my husband did go to the same school system, same district, and we had very different experiences in school. My mom was very involved. His mom was a single working mom. So he is actually where I started seeing the discrepancy. He's so smart, so brilliant, hardworking, and he slipped through the cracks. And I was
Mm.
just, I couldn't see that happen to other students. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Oh my gosh, yeah. So, okay, so now you are a school social worker, right? How long have you been doing that for?
I have been in school social work consistently at the district that I'm working at now, which is in the same area that I grew up in. And it's my dream role since 2012. I've been working in this particular school system. And I've been a social worker since 2009, licensed with my MSW. And then I've slowly reached for more and got my clinical license. And I'm a board approved supervisor now in Texas. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Wow,
Mhm.
you are like up there, Lauren. That is awesome.
Thank you.
Yes, I love that. So, let's talk about the beginnings of the social work scrapbook. So that means you were a school social worker in 2010, right? You started, and then so your social work scrapbook started 7 6 7 years later. How did that
Yeah, about
all come
5
about?
years. Yeah,
Okay.
about 5 years into it. And so, of course, everyone at the time that I started in 2012, of course, I was feeling a little of imposter syndrome. I got this dream job and I was just kind of pinching myself, really. And at that time, back in 2012, I don't think imposter syndrome was really a term. So now I hear it much more often. I was like, that's what I was kind of dealing with. But I really took a good look at all of the people that I had as mentors around me. And those were the other school social workers. I was hired in, probably there was like an 8 year gap. They hadn't hired anybody in this school system, simply because the district was slowly, I mean, with funding, to find funding for a new social work spot, it's very rare. And so they finally opened one up, and I was called in to take that spot out of a very competitive pool. So I just really learned lots from my fellow social workers. They were so seasoned, and I kind of was learning along the way. And my supervisor here within my district really pushed me to become a supervisor for some interns. So I started then housing some interns out of my school system. So after 1 or 2 years of being on the job, then I started helping interns from the different universities here in San Antonio, which there are quite a few. And I realized that I had this passion for teaching and for explaining social work theories and concepts and giving them insight that their eyes would widen. And I realized, hey, this isn't in the books. This really isn't textbook stuff you're learning here at the internship. these things. And so my interns would take notes diligently during our supervision, and then they'd actually go to their classes and start sharing in their classes with the fellow students that they were in cohort with. And those students then were like asking questions through them. And I'm like, wow, I guess I just have a knack for explaining. And then to make matters just easier, I decided to start recording myself and making short videos to really have a way to give those interns some insight if I wasn't there that day, or if they were coming up on something that was maybe a little difficult, things like that.
That is so smart.
So,
It's so simple, but it's so smart.
yes, and so that's what I started doing, and I didn't expect anything to really take off. From YouTube is where I started, and then I found a really nice little home on Instagram because I naturally love taking pictures, creating scrapbooks. That's an outlet for me. It's a creative outlet, and it's really taken off. Instagram is perfect for that, for all the photos and all the little memories you want to remember. And I'm really a of wins, big, little, it doesn't matter. Any social work win is a win for me, and that's what my Instagram is all about.
Yes, I love that. I'm so strengths based. Well, we did a whole talk on humanistic and strengths based
We
on your
did.
Instagram for the Instagram story. So if you want to learn more about that and how I use that in medical social work, go to Lauren's page. The
Social
is
Work
there?
Scrapbook, yes,
Thank
and
you.
it's under IGTV. It's saved there. Hmm.
Yes. And so I'm all about celebrating the wins because I know that us as social workers do not recognize our wins enough. And even the small wins, like I got to work on time and like, yes, that's a win for me, whatever it might be for you. Celebrate that because it really affects us on a
Mhm.
neurological level and it gives us a little boost, a little dopamine shot.
Most definitely, so true.
Yes, awesome. So so is that why you called it Social Work Scrapbook? I was kind of wondering that.
Yes, that's exactly why I just wanted to start collecting little memories and also those little pieces of insight. And I also wanted to go for that SS, social work, with something with an S. I'm a big thinker on the titling and naming things. And so that's what I kind of landed on. It's a little long, but it's worked.
Yeah. Do you currently scrapbook right now?
Um, Pretty much it's all digital. I
Okay.
There's nothing physical. I don't have a physical scrapbook. I don't think I have the like patience for that, but I do have a bunch of digital pictures, personal, and then I keep all my social work stuff there on the Instagram page.
Awesome. So I'm just kind of wondering, there's a lot of people we're all forced online right now, 2020, we're all forced online. And I talk to a lot of new social workers who are just saying, hey, I want to get started. I want to spread the word about social work and what I'm passionate about. Do you have any tips for people like who are just getting started in this online space?
I guess my biggest tip would be to find your niche, which is basically, if you're new to these terms, a niche is just your area of interest, something that you love to talk about. And social work is so general. So I started thinking, when I started, I was like, let me talk about social work. I don't see it enough. And so that was my niche. But we're now seeing more and more. So I would kind of even drill down a little bit further into, is it social work with children, or trauma, or school social work, or mental health, self-care? There's just so many little categories that you can drill down even further into. But whatever sparks your interest, that's where I would start, because that means you love talking about that topic.
Yes, I love that. And even just whatever you learn, like if you're learning something that day, I would just post about it. Just teach other people what you learned that day because
Exactly.
chances are somebody else needs to learn that too.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing with the niche because I find myself drawn to those accounts where they're talking about something very specific within social work because social work is so broad. It's like saying mental health. that could be like 100
It
different
is,
topics.
yeah. I started off not thinking so, but then as I got more and more questions, that's where I come up with my own content, is from the questions that I
Mhm.
get.
Yes, like I feel so bad. Sometimes people will find me because I'm at Social Workers Rise. It sounds very general, and they'll say, "Oh, I have a question about CPS. Like this is happening," and I have to tell like I have no idea. I don't know anything about CPS. I've never worked in the system. It sounds like maybe you need a lawyer.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's pretty specific. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. I'm wondering, okay, so I looked at your, your Instagram page and your YouTube page. You have thousands of people who follow you and subscribe to these pages. And I am not that big. I do not have such a big following, but even with the following that I do have, I get kind of nervous
Hmm.
about like so many souls and so many ears listening to me, right?
Hmm.
How do you how do you manage, like, do you ever get nervous, or what are the pros and cons that you found for being on social media for so long?
Oh, what a good question. I think when I started off, I was nervous, like who's gonna want to hear this? And I still get like that. And you can ask my husband, I still get like that, like, oh, ever so often, every few months, 3 months or so, I wonder, like, are people really needing this? Am I just, you know, stealing their ears, and am I in the way right now? But I think for me, I do get a lot of questions. I have so many messages right now that I haven't gotten to. So that stresses me. That's one of the cons, I would say, is with the following that I have. There's just so many social work minded and social work hearted individuals that are so sweet and asking so many questions that I can't possibly get to all of them. And it's a funny con to have, but it does really kind of weigh on me at the end of the day. I'm like, oh, I didn't get to any of the messages, and I kind of see them piling up. And then I have to just allow myself to recognize and realize that I'm doing the most that I can do, and my community is so understanding. If I take a hiatus or a break, they will always let me know, no worries, no need to explain. I have those people that will check in on me periodically. Hey, are you okay? This is not no pressure, but we just want to check in on you. So then I realized, oh, hey, people really do like this content. I'm not bothering anybody with it. Um, so yeah, I think the nerves came in the beginning when I wasn't so sure that people wanted to hear the messages that I had. And now, kind of being at the tail end and having a good amount of following, thank you for that. It's more so hoping that I'm giving enough.
Interesting. So it's almost like you feel drawn to give more.
Most definitely. And there's so many social workers following me that are at different points of their journey. So that's what's also, there's some real fresh kind of deciding or not even knowing what social work is. So finding me that way by doing a little social work search on YouTube, and they find me that way. And others that are like you, that are kind of in it with me. And I'm like, what could I possibly teach Catherine? I hope I'm not making her feel like I'm a guru of some sort, because I'm definitely not. I'm very collaborative, and I hope that shines through in on my Instagram page. I'm always trying to collaborate with social workers because I know everyone's experience is different and everyone has something to share, and I that's what I want to get across now to my community. Is it doesn't matter how many followers you have, like people really have knowledge and insight that is crucial to your growth. And it's funny because that's how I started as a social worker. I started just by asking those that were seasoned around me and just learning from them, never thinking I was better than anyone or more educated or this and that. It was always, what can I learn from this person?
Yes. And even though I am, because I feel like we've been social workers for about the same amount of time, because I
Yes.
got my BSW in 2010. So even though I've been in here 10 years, I still like following your page and following the other experienced social workers, because we're all doing something completely different. Like my day as a medical social worker looks totally different than your day as a school social worker. So
Mm-hmm.
it's fun to see those little behind the scenes, like what does your desk look like, where do you spend your time, like what are the kids activities doing, just those
Yeah.
random little things.
Yes, exactly. I love that too. And I don't know if it was you or someone else that messaged and say, wow, you do takeovers the day in the life. What a great idea. And I responded back by telling her it's honestly just me being nosy, similar to just wanting to know what are they doing? What are they up to? And everyone wants to know as well. And social work is one of those professions that I feel is not spoken up enough about. Like we're not out there in the media in such a nice light, but we do such great work. It's so much fun. There's never a dull moment. And I don't think people realize that. And I'm like, people need to see this. And so from all the comments that I get from new viewers and watchers, it's just that. It's like, I had no idea this is what y'all did. I'm like, yay.
That's awesome. Yes, I love to hear stories like that. I'm also wondering, have you have you found benefits to being so public online as far as career wise, or has it opened up any kind of different opportunities for you professionally?
Hmm. That's a tough one for me, and I think I might surprise you with this. I've never really told anybody, but professionally, I it's gonna sound silly, but I draw the line. Like I am not I didn't start Instagram to try to sell myself as a like I'm not trying to get clients through Instagram, which I do see a lot of other mental health professionals starting counseling pages or clinical pages to recruit clients in. And I had a chat with Janelle, another social worker out of Arizona, clinical social worker, and she does a lot of TikToks just to reach a client base. And I don't get clients through Instagram, so I really separate those two worlds. I haven't utilized it in the sense of trying to grow professionally. Everything, all of my credentials that I have now, which is my clinical license and my board approved supervision, all of that was done really on the side. I've never utilized social media to get to those spots. It's just something that I've worked on kind of separate from social media.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I do see that you have a social work supervision page kind of up and
Yes.
coming.
Yes. And so that's my first step to saying, well, let me get myself out there to the social workers in Texas so that they know that my services can possibly be available to them if they're wanting to get a clinical license, because in Texas you need to seek a board approved supervisor. You can't just get supervision with any social worker. It has to be a board approved supervisor who's taken some extra courses and passed and has that extra credential on their license. And then it's 2 years of supervision under them. And so I wanted other social workers in Texas to know that I'm accessible in that way. And so that's kind of and that's a slowly growing page. But then again, yeah, just to kind of put my name out there for anyone that's wanting to reach for that next license level.
Which I think is so helpful because I hate to admit, but when people ask me, where can I find a social work
Mm-hmm.
supervisor? I really don't know because I had it through my job. So I don't even know where to send
Yeah,
them.
good point.
So I think that social media is a really great way to get started with that. And I'm sure people who are just needing those supervision hours, it just reduces their stress level and their anxiety level of trying to find somebody. They're like, oh, great, Lauren, she's awesome. I'm also in school social work and we jive and
Yeah,
let me just hire her.
that's the thought behind it. But that was like an afterthought. So scrapbook was the social work scrapbook wasn't for that, and then more so I'm like, oh well, maybe I can just do a side one and kind of let them know I'm there for those services as well.
Great. So I know that we both shared in our stories that we're going to be talking today, and a couple questions came in. One was if there's any rules and regulations on what you can do and share on social media as a licensed social worker.
Yeah, and this is a good one. I get this question probably like twice a year. Um, and it always jolts me a little bit, and I'll check up on it. Every state is different because every licensing board is different. So you have to check in your state. But as I think a lot of our licensing boards are a little behind the times as far as social media, and you can look on Instagram and you can see that that's very apparent, especially this year of 2020. NASW and a few others are just kind of out of touch, I think, as far as how to use social media in general. So there's a few general rules on there in your licensing, like ethical guidelines and things around social media. But I would really check your agency or your employer. Like there's probably more in there. So like for my school district, there's certain things that I have to follow so that I don't um, kind of overstep confidentiality and things like that. And so you'll find on my page, I don't share any client information or client names. I don't even really discuss clients at all. And so I kind of just am giving you my perspective in a sense. So I stay away from that because of the privacy and confidentiality.
Yes. As far as rules and regulations, what I've seen is one, protect
Mm-hmm.
confidentiality at all costs. Do not give away, like you said, I wouldn't even say like the demographics and the age and a diagnosis because
Nothing like
that's
that.
getting like pretty
Yeah.
specific.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. And then also too, which was interesting reading the code of ethics, is according to the code of ethics, they don't want us talking bad about other social workers or
Mm-hmm.
slander or putting people down. Generally we're all pretty nice, but I did think that was kind of interesting that there's actually a rule to not do that.
Interesting. Yeah,
Um,
I don't think I had
mm-hmm,
seen that. And in fact, when I
mm-hmm.
read up, it's more kind of using outlets and trying to spread like our profession and what we do. And I think social media can be used in that way as well.
Yes, yes, definitely. And let me see what other questions there were. So here's a good one. How do you balance your work and also your side business? So do you feel like there's ever really a good time that you would leave a full-time working position to pursue, something on the side, like full-time supervisor or something like that?
Um, at this point, given my role, I don't see a time. Like that's not my goal. And I think because school social work positions are very coveted, for me, I have two young ones as well. I'm a boy mom, and so right now I can't beat this schedule. I get summers off, winters off, Thanksgiving break is 2 weeks away, so I can't beat that. And I get paid pretty well for that. And I'm at a position where here in the district, I think they've realized that I need newness and novelty ever so often. So they've really I've moved within these few years, about 8 years, I've moved from a middle school to a credit recovery high school to working with McKinney or homeless students to working now with teen parents. So they give me enough that I'm kind of on the hook, and I love this population. So my goal has never been to leave my day job, I guess. And then I use social media as more of an outlet, a creative outlet.
Yes, I agree. I was having a hard time this week um and I was just thinking, I said, I'm gonna stay off social media and keep my
Mm-hmm.
boundaries and just focus on what I can control. And then I thought, oh my gosh, that's a great post. And so I got
Exactly.
on
Yeah.
I got on Canva and I like did this cute little
Oh, you're
graphic and
so
I
good
was
at
like,
that.
ah, I just felt so much better. It was like an artistic expression of what I was doing because I don't draw, I don't write poetry, I don't even write very cleverly. I'm just so visual. And so I just like making little visuals on
Yes.
Instagram.
No,
It's
I'm
fun.
I'm the same way. I love to use it as an outlet. And for any social workers that might be listening that kind of are feeling burned out, honestly, when you take over my page, the community is so engaging and so eager to learn because they're at the stages that you were previously. You know how they say someone is wishing to be in the job that you're in right now? Like you literally are talking and engaging with these people. So it really is uplifting. You're gonna have to take over my page one of
Yes.
these days.
I know. Oh my gosh, that would be so much
Yes.
fun. I would love that. um, yeah. So another question that we had come in is how do you balance your business and personal life?
So as far as business, are you talking social work and then my like personal?
Yeah, so I guess on your social media, you're on
Mm-hmm.
there like every
Yeah.
day. So Do you also use that to post your personal things, or do you just keep it pretty much social
Yeah, I
worky?
keep it social work specific, and that's more part of that niche mentality. Now that I have a few more followers that are wanting, and I think they're moving into kind of different stages of their life, I try to share a little bit more on the relationship end with my husband, kind of sharing more of him. My kids don't appear too often, but there are some things that I'm wanting to incorporate there, just as I see that my demographic is kind of heading into kind of like more motherhood. Like a lot of my community members are first time moms now, and I remember how that is, so I want to make sure that I'm providing kind of that outlook as well.
Yes, it's true. And I feel like now, since we're all working from home, the lines are so blurred
Hmm.
because our office, for some of us, I know for me, our office is also our living room. And so by bringing you to work, I'm bringing you in my living room.
Yeah.
And so you get to see my dog and
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
and
And I think where I guess I draw the line is like I've had some requests like, can you, I just well, not recently, it's been a year already, but we moved into a new home. People were wanting to see a house tour, and I'm kind of like, that's where I draw the line. Like, would I really be doing this? Is it social worky? I'm like, no, it's not. And like that's not really what I'm not that type of vlogger. So it's like a no-go on those types of things. I have to feel it.
how do you nicely say no?
I on this is gonna sound so bad. I remember the request in my head, and I can't remember who had like sends it to me. So it kind of gets lost in the messages, and I don't really respond. It's just kind of like I never responded to it. It was,
Yeah,
yeah,
that makes sense. It just wasn't
yeah,
a priority because you're like, "Oh, I'm probably not gonna do that."
yeah. I was like, no. So I don't really say it. I guess I don't say it. I just don't do it. I draw my boundary, and that's it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Awesome. Was there anything else that you feel is important for social workers to know right now that we haven't covered?
No, I honestly always, when I get asked that kind of generalized question, I throw out the reason why I started the whole page, which is the fact that this profession, it truly is a calling, and it's something that will continue to grow along with you. Please don't feel like you're going to burn out. I think those are old stories and old stigmas that we can buy into, but we don't have to. We can really take another approach and grow with this profession and have it grow along with us too. And I love the fact that social work is always evolving and growing, and that's kind of what it's all about.
Do you feel like evolving and growing and having new things is what keeps you from burning out?
Yes, most definitely. Most definitely. I'm lucky to be in a district where the social work team here is very connected with one another. We know each other's strengths. And like I mentioned, my supervisor can kind of read those moments where I think next year she's going to need a little bit of a different setting, a different population to kind of keep me growing and learning and expanding myself. And so that's really what's kept me from burning out.
Oh, I like that. That's really nice. I guess I never considered how diverse school social work was as far as the different like areas you might be going into or the
Hmm.
different little pockets of children that you would be working with.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, that's awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Lauren. It was a pleasure talking with you today.
Yes, this was so good. Thank you for having me.
Yes. You're welcome. I'm going to hold you to that takeover.
Yes,
I'll be in your
please.
DMs.
Yes,
And
for sure.
if you have not seen Lauren, you must go to her page. So, Social Work Scrapbook on Instagram. She has a bajillion YouTube videos from like everything. I was looking at it today. So many things like why get into social work, who social work for, about school social work. There's
Hmm.
just a bajillion different
A day in the
videos on
life
all the
videos. People
topics.
love those vlogs, and I'm kind of like, this is boring, but people like to see what it's all about. And yeah, there's a few vlogs up there too.
Yes, yes. So go follow her, subscribe, all of the good things. And I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Lauren.
Yes, thanks for having me. Bye, Catherine.
Bye. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on Social Workers Rise. If you are looking to add another stream of income while making massive impact on the world, then I highly recommend creating your own online course. I personally use Kajabi and highly recommend it. They make it super easy to turn what you know into what you do. Click the link in the show notes to get started today. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Social Workers Rise. If you loved it, write a review and give us 5 stars wherever you listen to your podcast. This just helps other people just like you find us and join our community. Also, I would love to connect with you on Instagram. You can find me at Social Workers Rise. I can't wait to see you next week. Bye.